right, good morning. Thank you. So, as Evan said, I'm James Alva. I started a nonprofit consulting company called Adelante Partners about 2 years ago. I had the good fortune of meeting Hillary and Allison and Evan in 2017 when I was in a prior role working for Citibank in the corporate philanthropy team. I met Hillary and Allison first, and I became a quick convert. You really didn't have to do a whole lot to convince me. My background is in working in nonprofit space, helping entrepreneurs. My parents were entrepreneurs. I am now an entrepreneur. I have funded entrepreneurship on the philanthropic side, so I have seen entrepreneurship in a variety of different ways. So very much was already bought into this idea. Now this idea that I get to work with Project Equity and help them on different growth strategies is really rewarding to me, but I think all of you would like to engage you in a different way. So I told you that I would share some personal stories, but I wanted to get to know a little bit about you first. And so I'm gonna read something to you. This was dated November 15th, 2016. Dear James, this recommendation letter is perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this for Louis. This is his wife writing to me. Please don't tell him I told you, but the letter you wrote made him almost be in tears when he read it. We truly appreciate your kind words. We cherish and consider you all like family. Louis has talked so highly of you, and we are so happy for your success. So, November 15th, 2016. Earlier that year, the company that my parents founded in 1981, the year that I was born, we had to sell it. When we sold it, Louis was out of a job. I had known Louis since I was 5 years old. This was probably, I didn't expect this, so excuse me a moment. One of the hardest things I had to do was write a recommendation letter for Louis to get a job at another company because he was out of a job because we had to sell ours. Now, if I had known about Project Equity a couple years earlier, maybe things would have changed, and maybe we would have helped Louis become an owner in the company that he would likely still be a partial owner in at least today. And so I think about this recommendation letter and how hard it was and how much guilt I had in writing that. And I think about how I have lost sleep around things like, yes, would I get Beyonce tickets, but more seriously, the racial wealth gap and what's happening in this country. So in 2016, the year in which my family had to sell their business after 35 years, I want to share a couple stats with you. I will not bore you, I promise. In 2016, the average wealth of Black families in this country was $17,000. Sorry, the median wealth, to be more technical. The average wealth of Latino families was $21,000, $17,000, $21,000. The average wealth of white families, 2016, $171,000. So, this is a different way to say this. Black families had 10 times less the wealth of white families, and Latino families had 8 times less the wealth. So, in 2016, these are the stats. 2019 happens, and we have some good news. Black families increase their wealth a little bit, and rather than having 10 times less than white families, it goes down to 8. Latino families in 2016 had 8 times less. 2019, that factor goes down to 5. So by these measures, we're doing better. Then the pandemic hits. And although we don't have the data yet, I think we all know what happened, particularly to Black and brown families, and what that did to wealth in this country, considering also where we're headed. So we know that what happened during the pandemic, and it causes us to reflect a lot. 2001, didn't feel like that long ago to me, so I was in that camp. Maybe I'm sort of expressing my age in doing so. 2001 did not feel that long ago. September 11th, 2001, also for me, doesn't feel that long ago. So I want us now to imagine 2045. 2045 is the same distance in the future as 2001 was in the past. 2045 is the time or the year by which the US is predicted to be majority people of color. Now, if we think about where we're headed from a racial wealth gap standpoint, what that means in 2045, I argue, probably in a room of very friendly and like-minded people, that if we don't start to shift the paradigm now, where will we be in 2045? And I would like to think that people who have to write recommendation letters in 2045 will be doing so much more informed and won't have this deep sense of regret that they didn't know about something like employee ownership before their family's business had to close. And I think that what you all are doing here at Project Equity is so impactful and so revolutionary. And I hope that those of you who are champions continue to be and gather other folks to be champions. And those of you who are thinking about what does this mean for me, will think about the context of what we're looking at in this country and see opportunities to really shift that paradigm. I stand here really proud and in partnership with Project Equity and what you're doing on employee ownership. And I would just say that the more that we all can normalize this and continue to grow forums like this, we can think about how to change the world and not have a lot of regret when we write recommendation letters. So I invite you all to listen with open hearts and minds and think about 2045 because it is coming and it will be here soon. Thank you.